Welcome to the Zoo. Brought to you by Chick-fil-A Erie Zoo. Are you ready to see your favorite animals?
Hi everybody, we're back and now we're here with the Amur tigers. There are 5 subspecies of tiger. They are the Bengal, the Malayan, the Amur, the Sumatran, and the Indo-Chinese. And this is Victor. Victor is our male Amur tiger, and we also have a female Amur tiger. Her name is Tikva. Amur tigers you might know better as Siberian tigers. They changed the name a few years back to incorporate the bigger range of area that they come from. They don't just come from Siberia. They come from the Indo-Chinese, Russian, Amur area. So they changed the name a little while ago to incorporate that. Being solitary cats, they spend time on exhibit alone. So a lot like the Amur leopard, the Amur tiger has the very dense, heavy coat because they come from such a cold region. They also have a little bit lighter of a coat, and then you can see that they also have kind of a real thick mane that protects their neck from their cold climate. And they also have a special adaptation. They have a little bit furrier of a paw so that they can walk around in the snow. Victor here is 15 years old, which for a big tiger is, he's getting up there. Normally tigers live anywhere from 10 to 15 years. In captivity they can live as much as 20 to 24 years old. Some of the unique things about tigers is you'll notice that they have stripes. They're the only big cat with stripes, and each stripe pattern is unique to each tiger. Just like each fingerprint is unique to each person, each stripe pattern is unique to each tiger, and the stripe pattern goes all the way down to their skin. It's not just in their hair, it goes all the way down to their skin. You might also notice if you're looking at Victor that behind his ears he's got a couple of white spots, and the white spots are for the moms to be able to pick the babies out when they're camouflaged in the brush, and they're also known as a false eye, which means it almost looks like they're looking at you even when they're standing backwards. Tigers make a large variety of noises. You'll hear everything from roaring to calling to chuffing, and chuffing is my personal favorite noise because chuffing is a greeting. So if you ever hear the tigers, it's kind of like a sound. They do that as a way to greet each other. They'll do it when they come face to face with each other, and luckily for us, they do it when their keepers come in too. We're very fortunate that our tigers like to chuff back and forth with us. Tikva especially is a big chuffer when she's in her heat cycle. So she's very amorous, she's very loving to everybody that comes through, and they do a lot of scent marking of their territory, so she'll mark all over the place, and since they're not out in the exhibit at the same time, she'll scent mark, and then the next day when Victor comes out, he goes around and finds all the places that she marked, and then he remarks everything, and then the males especially will mark their territory by walking it off. So a lot of people think that these big cats pace in captivity. Well, not all of it is pacing behavior. Pacing behavior is very repetitive. For them, when you see them going around the entire perimeter of their exhibit, that's their way of marking off their territory. We do a lot of training with our tigers, especially behind the scenes. Training with these animals is very important, especially because with these big animals, we can't just go in if something's wrong and put our hands on them, especially not the vet staff. So the biggest things that we do is we train them to stand up and sit down. And when they stand up and they put their front paws up, we can see how their claws are, because their claws are retractable, and if they don't sharpen their claws often, the claws continue to grow, and if they continue to grow, they'll actually grow into their pads, and once they grow into the pads, then we have to intervene medically. If we can train them to put their feet up, then we can see if we're getting to that point and hopefully provide some new enrichments, some new logs or something for them to be able to sharpen their claws on. We also train them for injections, so that if we have to sedate them, we can just inject them with a syringe, and then they'll go to sleep. And then we go in and we do all the medical things that we need to do to them, and then they wake up and hopefully everything's fine after that. One of the main reasons that I enjoy working with the tigers is they're a very majestic animal. When you work with tigers, one of the biggest things that I found is I can explain to people the plight of the tigers in the wild by having people experience Victor and Tikva here at the zoo. This is very important. Conservation of these animals in the wild is very important. Two of the biggest websites that you can find if you want to research more about conservation of tigers is the Wildcat Conservation Alliance, and also look at the Preston Project. The Preston Project actually studies vocalizations of tigers in the wild and how to preserve areas and everything by being able to locate tigers just based on their vocalizations. It was a study that we actually helped participate here at the zoo. We actually recorded our tigers for a little while and sent the recordings in so they could hear different vocalizations from our tigers to be able to compare those vocalizations to tigers in the wild. So it was a very fun project to be a part of. But these animals, it's very important to me to help people understand that they may not be around in 20 or 30 years if we don't do everything we can to preserve them now. The nice thing about conservation for these large cats is everything that helps the tiger conservation also helps the Amur leopard conservation, because they do come from the same areas. They're threatened by the same things: habitat loss, poaching, human intervention in building roads and things like that. It affects both of these species. So every little bit that we do to help conserve one also helps to conserve the other. And it's also fun to work with them because they're different. Even though they're the same species, they're all different to work with. Every cat has their own personality, and if you have cats at home, you know what I'm talking about. Because a cat that's the size that you keep at your house is a lot like the ones here. A lot of their personalities are the same, and a lot of their other things are the same, where their lifespans are basically the same, and they do a lot of things the same, just on a much larger scale.